And we are live.
Animikagig Oma Nguea Indaji Nakwe Tiguea Akoi Quirizens Indigo Ojibwe Mung Pishon and Dotem Mi Oma Nagachuanong Indunchiba Kwaba Yigening Indanongum Indiji Genemigo Ricky DeFoe. I want to welcome you in a warm way to this evening teachings about the medicine wheel. I come to you from the place where the current stops. Here is the French call Fond du Lac in Ojibwe, Nagachuanong. And I'm in the community here. Guaba community of Sawyer. Welcome you in a good way to Nakwe, Indaji Nakwe Tiguea, the place where rivers meet. So in a good warm way, we welcome you here. Again, my name is Ricky DeFoe in English. And I've got a few things to talk about here this evening, particularly about balance. Nuitajan bangigego o sa kwekoshkoen. Minuadash mino we jindiwen. So I wanted to talk a little bit about balance and a little bit about harmony. We did some things in the past few weeks about Wabano, Shano, Ningavino, the East, the South, the West. And this evening, we're going to be talking about some things from Q8, the Nome, the North. So there's a lot going on in our world. There's a lot of conflict, a lot of turmoil, both as a collective, as a society, and also in our individual lives. There's things that tools that we can use, particularly this mashkiki, said, this medicine wheel that the Ojibwe nation utilize and other nations utilize this to bring some balance and harmony into our life. Once we know the interconnectedness of these four quarters, then we can understand if we're in balance or out of balance, where there's more effort needed, more work needed. So again, we're going to be talking about the North. There is things that begin to happen that we understand in life. We know that the East is about infancy, and we know that the South is about young adults, teenagers, if you will. And then in the West, we talk about adulthood. Well, in the North, we talk about the elderhood and the reality of being aged. We know that the color of the North is white. And so we go from yellow to red to black to white. Mashkiki and Date said, the medicine wheel. And we know about the elements, and we know that in ceremony, the elements are utilized. In this particular North, it's about air and the wind, so to bring balance. And in any ceremony, say a smudging ceremony, you have those four elements. You have the shell, which represents the water. You've got the smudge itself, whether it's tobacco, cedar, sage, or sweetgrass, that represent the earth. And then you have the match that represents the fire, and the smoke will represent the air. Those four things are inclusive in that ceremony. And this northern one is the wind and the air. Along with seasons, we know that the North has representing winter. We're just moving through winter now, going towards spring. So the East was spring, the South was summer, the West is fall, and the North is winter. So we get a good understanding of the feel for the seasons, the seasonal changing, the new life that is coming. And we have to understand where we're at. This medicine that we use is sweetgrass, Wingushk Shinaka. So again, in the East, we utilize tobacco, Seima. In the South, we utilize Gijikandak, the cedar. And in the West, we utilized Mushkote Wushk, the sage. And again, in the North, we utilize Wingushk, the sweetgrass. The sweetgrass really invites those Manitou, the spirits to come and be near us. The aroma is pleasant, so much so that it attracts those ones. And we know that we utilized all those other ones for their purposes also at the proper time. So in this fourth quadrant, we know about spirituality. We're thinking a lot about spirituality in this the north. And I wanted to talk about some of those things that are understood also to be in the north, Q8, the noon. We have talked earlier about the elder stage. As we grow older, the wisdom that comes through lived experiences, the the insight, the knowledge gained through being in existence. So we've been blessed with long life. In the old days, they said life was so difficult. It was truly a blessing to be in that stage of elderhood. So we always instinctively respect those that are in elderhood. When the elder comes into the room or nearby, we pause and give that respect as they enter in quiet fashion. So we're giving that respect with nonverbals also. And so that stage is, we're always taught to give, it's inherent in the teachings of Ojibwe and many other nations also to respect their elders. But we have to live that on a daily basis, because most oftentimes we have our elders living right in our homes with us. So it was with our family. We'd have the elders, my parents, my grandfather, my great aunt, relatives, all, and plus we had, I had 5 brothers and 2 sisters. So we had a large household, but we knew inherently that how to treat the elders. As we get older, we start to understand also that we get close to the spirit world, and we know that because of a circle of life that we're moving in that direction, and we don't know how much time we have. We believe that we live the utmost day in, day out on a daily basis to provide the fullest of the moments that we have, the life that we've got here. So they tell us that today is all we've got. We don't got yesterday, and we don't know what tomorrow holds. So we live to the best day in, day out, and we treat each other in such a fashion, especially our elders, that when like it could be our last time. So we have that reverence, that respect, and that love for those elders. And we also understand that to be an elder comes different sets of responsibilities. And we know that we always take a look back in our life and reflect on those things that we did well, our strengths, and some of those things that they say that we learn most often from the bad choices and the wrongs and things of this nature that come, that we did. So it is some of that pain that comes, we learn from that. And we always try to look for doing the right thing today, so that we have faith that and tomorrow brings that hope that things will be in place in a good way for good life. They tell us that if we live a good life, that we'll have a long life. So we've also acquired a whole lot of knowledge along the way. And understanding of a worldview for us Indigenous people is unique. And we try to share that with the world around us and those that will listen, those that were in mutuality with us, and those that are in solidarity with us. So we want to share that knowledge, and we want to understand and help others to understand how being in balance and how living in harmony with our mother nature will bring wellness, and that everything is interconnected, that in fact the environment is natural law, physical laws are constant, unchanging, and are essential for life. So it is with the spiritual laws. They are just as important, if not more so. And we know about the North being a spiritual quadrant. So when we understand these things, they tell us we have to give back. And that comes in many forms, how to give back your knowledge, your understanding of life. We're always looking for the young ones to come our direction and perhaps offer tobacco or a gift and want to spend some time. Sometimes nowadays they're so busy with life as it is that we almost have to go to them and look for somebody that would be willing to want to receive this knowledge and the wisdom that have been acquired. And I always say that we need mentors, and that we need somebody a generation older than us, so that we approach them in a good way, and that the knowledge that they have, they will disclose to us and impart to us freely, as long as we respect and treat them in a fine way, in a good way. So that's a reciprocity, and that's relational. So we want to be in relationship and in a good life with our elders in this one. To get to this spot where we're at takes a lot of discipline. And we know that discipline involves many things. The hardest is self-discipline. The easiest is group discipline. Self-discipline, we've gained some experience through the years, so we're able to follow natural law where we're healthier, and spiritual laws where we're happier in a more sure fashion. So we know about going to sleep at the proper hours, waking up early, and greeting the sun as the sun comes over the horizon. We know that before that happens, that the morning star is there also. So we know that we're interdependent to the Anungo Kwan, the star world. So we know that we're interdependent. So we have discipline and understanding, and reflect on that, and show that by our greeting those ones that come up that early. The birds, the animals also follow natural law. So we have discipline, and we've learned a lot along the way. So we try to make sure that we're the young ones see how we demonstrate that discipline in their lives, so that they can learn. By watching, they learn a whole lot, how we carry ourselves. So discipline plays a huge part. Even in our elderhood, we still have to be disciplined, because others are watching, particularly the young ones, the next generation. And we know that, again, part of that responsibility is to care for others. And now I care, grandchildren particularly are need to be guided in a real warm, humble way, with love and kindness. So it is with everyone around us, so that we know that we don't want to be old and crabby and cranky and angry and these other emotions that sometimes come our way. So through the discipline, we do the steps necessary to not to display those emotions in such a way that are destructive. So we want to sound that out about the North and some of the properties of the North. We also know about the Wapshka Makwa, the white bear of the North. Other tribes have different teachings for different parts of the medicine wheel. I've been taught that in the East, we talk to the thunderbirds, the winged nation, and invite them into our lodges and our ceremonies. From the South, we look to the turtle nation, the crawlers, and invite them into our ceremony. From the West, we looked for the Buffalo Nation and our ancestors. And then in the North, we asked the white bear to come into our ceremonies also. So we're in relationship with them, and we offer them, have offerings for them when they come in each direction, each door, each part of the ceremony. There's food offerings, there's medicine offerings, there's songs that are sung to welcome those ones. For instance, when the winged ones come flying in, we welcome them. When the crawlers come in, we welcome them. When the four-leggeds come in, we welcome them. The walkers, we welcome them. All of the animals in the fashion we recognize: the flyers, the walkers, the swimmers, the crawlers. So in this way, we stay humble. We know that all of those ones can survive without us as a species. The Rock Nation, our Mother Earth, the plants, the seedlings, the trees, the grasses, the animals, and last was Anishinaabe. So they can survive without us, but we cannot survive without them. So that's why they tell us that we have to take care of those ones. And in doing so, they'll take care of us. So much of what we learned in elderhood is about reciprocity, responsibility. So we give back and forth to each other for survival, not only knowledge, intergenerational knowledge is passed on to the next generation. We also teach about the dream state knowledge, where we have fasting, where one is fasting for a while. And so you think about those along those lines. So we share those teachings. So there's others ceremonies that I want to talk a little bit about at elderhood, that we also not only the dream state knowledge, but also ceremonial knowledge is a big part of that, where the language, the customs are there that we need to keep as language keepers, as ceremonial keepers, and so that they're in a good spot so that we can pass them on to the next generation. And also we know about the knowledge and contemporary knowledge, which is around us now in the form of much data. We've got to be careful about what is being, how we utilize so much data in this society that we live in now. Those are just 4 of the kinds of knowledges that we try to our best to pass on to the next generation in our responsibilities as an elder. So again, each one of those ones that we've called in, and particularly from the white bear from the north, we talk about the springtime, the thunder beings. They'll be here soon. We welcome them, and also as they fly in again, and as the Turtle Nation crawls in, and then the Buffalo Nation comes in with all of the elders, or not the elders, but the relatives that have moved on to the spirit world. And then we call in the white bear from the north. And at that time, we have reflection back on all of those things that have been gifted to us, been given to us: our language, our ceremonies, our relatives, all the teachings, one another. So we have a lot of gratitude. So we sound that out to the white bear. And at that time, each one of those has spirit power and physical power. So it's up again to us to build that relationship and to understand and be a part of that as we go along in our life. So so they tell us that if we live a good life, that we'll live a long life, and that in fact that we always talked earlier about the 7 teachings: wisdom, love, respect, bravery, honesty, humility, and truth. And any institution that we've developed stems from our cosmology that we have as indigenous peoples, and also the philosophy of life. And then we have our values that stem from that philosophy, and our actions that follow from that. And those are what the institutions that we have. So I wanted to sound a little bit about that stuff out. Some of the being kind to one another is huge. Being respectful to one another, being grateful that we're indigenous, that we're in relationship with all those around, that we're interdependent. Oftentimes we think about root paradigms that are a problem that we find ourselves in today: dominion over all things, perhaps a hierarchy of life, and a male transcendent God. We say that we don't own anything as indigenous peoples, but we're told to take care of those things: the trees, the fish, the waters, that were to do good. When they do da, so to do good things for them and with them, and that we don't own anything. this hierarchy of life that we talk about is from the exact opposite of mainstream. It's from the base, and is where all the power is. The power is in the people, the family unit, the women. It's a much more egalitarian society than mainstream and a patriarchal society. So we look for balance and harmony, and that there and will ensure that we have health and happiness. So this hierarchy of life, everything that we try to do is to be in balance. No one is in a circle higher up than the other one that is to your left or to your right, in front of you or in behind you. This male transcendent God, we know that there is spirits, we say manituk, and that is plural. There's many. We hear about the word Gije Manitu, the kind, loving spirit, Gechi Manitu, the great mystery. And we don't, in our language, does not discern if the great mystery is a man or a woman. We never hear about Kwe, which is a woman, or Nene, which is a man. So we don't hear Chimanitu Kwe or Chimanitu Nene. We hear Chimanitu. So those are some of the things that we in elderhood tried to share and understand, and having respect for all other religions and ways of seeing the world. But these are, our language teaches us a whole lot. So that's why we try to revitalize and reclaim our language and our, not only our history, but also those ceremonies and customs that we've been done. So this knowledge can be continue to be shared. So we know that we've got to be patient, and that everything was created for a purpose, or not to waste anything, and that we're a spiritual people, and these material things seem to bog us down. The more things that you have, the harder it is to move. So we'd move with the seasons: the spring, the summer, the fall, the winter. Each season had movement in a cycle. So we'd move light, the less material things. In fact, we'd give most things away. So it is the opposite of mainstream America. They always say we have to know yourself, meaning as you get older, you start to understand these things, but when you're young, you're learning about what makes you tick, what makes you act and speak the way that you do. So we want to know about that. And they always say you must have the ability to laugh at yourself. And we need to be the teachings that we're told, and we have to remember that, to love each other, remember your dreams, remember your grandchildren that are yet to be born. So this will guide us in the things that we do. Respect the earth, our mother. Respect your body that you have. You've only got one body. It says, they say our spirit is forever, kagige, and that our bodies are temporal. So our spirit is taking a temporary human experience. So to take care of your body in this way. to tell the truth, to be truthful, to learn something every day different. And we know that as elders, some young people think that we know everything that needs to be known already. But I know many elders that say, even in elderhood, we learn something new every day. So it is, we try to understand and learn new things every day in elderhood. And we try to walk these indigenous ways every day, use everything properly, be thankful to the Creator, be thankful to the women in our lives, our grandmothers, our great-grandmothers, our grandmothers, our mothers, our aunts, our sisters, our daughters, granddaughters. Be kind to the women and respectful at all times. Don't be mean to them. They say any society, you can tell from the women what condition the society is in, the group, the tribe, the nation, the band. So to have that respect, always look to help, because we know that we can help others, and at times we need help. And the power of prayer, group prayer also. So some of those teachings that we try to sound out and practice day in, day out, and to instill in our young people and thinking about them so that they see and have that connection, and then will live that way. So we have a lot to be grateful for as Indigenous peoples. We've survived an awful lot, and we've got a lot to share, and we do so in a humble way. We're not proud with false pride, but we do have some teachings that might be helpful to live in balance, to live in harmony, utilizing this tool of the medicine wheel, and understanding if we're sick, if we're in pain, this medicine wheel can help us to navigate through that. Because if we're sick, we're out of balance. So there's a lot in elderhood that we've got to be responsible for. And those are just some of the things that I've been told about to be sure to share. And that's what we're doing here at this moment. So I wanted to say that a little bit there. So I'd ask Okogiman, or if we'd have any questions or comments that we have so far.
Yes, Ricky. Are there questions or comments that any of us would like to ask Ricky? Ricky, as for myself, I'm very interested in the white bear. And are there any sayings about the white bear? And are there any winter stories about the white bear? Or is the white bear ever talked about in terms of having a particular significance in the traditions of the people? Or is it just stand as a symbol?
Well, everything has a meaning, and power, and spiritual power, and physical power, and not only in a symbolic way, the spirit bear, but it is relational, and it's like the Dene Nation says that we have our five senses, and they help us, but sometimes they can be lead us astray. But we have to know those invisible senses, those spiritual senses, and that takes relational. So it is up to us to have that relationship with those ones when they become identified. It's difficult to say exactly what each one is about, because the white bear might mean something different to 3-4 different people in the same ceremony. So it's about that developing that relationship with them, and each one of those. So we have the white bear really is in the ceremony that I do frequently, is we sound out our gratitude to the spirit bear. And we have lots of things to be grateful for. All of those we're told to feast our sacred items twice a year. The first is in the spring when the Sagi Baga Jesus, when the new buds come out on the trees. We're told that we have to sound out our gratitude and speak for those sacred items that we use. So we have that gratitude there. The white bear here's all of those gratitudes that we have. And so we think about that gratitude. Introductions, but healing, each door, each quadrant has its own properties. So I just wanted to say that it's more of a, in that north is the fourth door, and that's those things that we're grateful for, those things that have spirit, because much say like DeFoe Egan has movement and has spirit. So we are grateful for that relationship, the feathers that we have. So it's just a matter of being in the moment. And like this moment that we have, this is all we have. So
Thank you.
there's you bet.
Yes, Nicholas.
Hi, Ricky. Hello,
Hi.
Okogiman. Hi, Blake. Thank you. I'm really grateful I can be here again. My question is, the word spirit, as you just said, gets used many ways. You referred to the white bear as spirit. We have heard our spirit ancestors, many words of spirit, and then you talked about Gitmanidu, or the great mystery, or maybe spirit. Is it? So I think that from where I come from in the West, my education of spirit is one kind of God spirit, primarily, whatever that is. But listening to you and listening to others, I get a sense that there might be a wider diversity of spirit, or that's what I'm perceiving, and I'm wondering if you could just talk a little bit about maybe what is spirit, or where is spirit, or when we make our prayers and we're greeting all these creations which you've talked about, do we pray to those spirits, or do we address them to a great spirit? What is there, a hierarchy of spirit, or is it a circle of spirit? I don't even know how to ask the question very well.
Okay. I'll try to answer. I would say that there's a circle of spirits. There's no hierarchy of spirit. We know that one of the words is manitul for singular and manitul for plural. We also have Atsukan, which is spirit helpers. In English, they say monotheistic, I think the word is, and polytheistic, meaning one or more than one spirit or God. I wouldn't use the word God so much. I would use the word spirit. So there's many different forms of spirit, and we talk about the spirit of love, the spirit of giving, the spirit of ceremony, your spirit, my spirit, their spirit. So that takes in its own. So when you come, you bring your spirit. So it takes many forms, the spirit. So spiritual is being, living in that way. So we talk about reciprocity. So we want to be able to, in natural law and spiritual law. So what goes out will come back. That's the reciprocity of it, and that's the natural law piece. That some people will say karma, and others will use other words for that. But it is natural that when you have a spirit of love and kindness and treat others this way, it'll come to you in a reciprocal fashion. Sometimes we often wonder why the bad people always come in first place and things like that, but we know that there's a greater mystery, that those injustices will take care of themselves in that natural law. So that is a form of spirit, living a spiritual life and natural life alongside. Like I said, that's spiritual laws are as important, if not more so, than natural physical laws. And again, we can go through relationships to those and have moments. So we don't have to have someone there. It's more like in a religious fashion. So we're even when we think that we're not being heard and seen, there are ways that we know that the spirit is there through the unseen. When you start to, and then you can actually see some things happen. The change in the seasons is spiritual. The change in people is spiritual. So the spirit moves you and I to be at a certain place at a certain time. And some of those mysteries, it's might take the rest of our life to understand clearly about the spirit, but we do know the power of the spirit.
Ricky, it appears to me that I know that you speak of the great mystery, and you speak of all of life, all being as possessing spirit. And so it's like it's a world, or it's an existence of spirit. And from what I'm gathering is that we are living in a spiritual existence. And then it seems to me if we're doing that, then we are acknowledging the particular ways that spirit is acting in and showing itself in unique ways or specific ways within a particular tree or within, the rock nations, the rocks and the water and the birds. The spirit is showing itself in particular ways. And then when we pray, and I'm wondering what it means then when we pray to spirit. So are we praying to the great mystery, or are we saying that this mystery that pervades everything, that's in everything, that gives everything life, and that we are so what are we doing when we are praying? Are we simply aligning ourselves with that and putting our energy force in alignment with that, to be in harmony with that spiritual force?
I think that recognition of those is huge, because that's when you recognize someone that you're giving them respect. We know that a number of spirits from, for instance, when we talked a little bit about the Flyers, the Turtle Nation, the Buffalo Nation, the Bear Nation. We also have the lead spirits in the sky. We've got the water spirits. You've got the spirit of fire. So you've got the spirit of wind. There's a lot that's happening, and our language talks about the actions that are taking place, much more than any kind of nouns or naming things. It talks about actions. So
it sounds like, Ricky, that it's an energy force if it's action. It sounds like it's an energy force that is showing itself in different ways. That is action, showing, acting out in different ways.
yes, it's definitely energy. It's definitely energy. And energy moves people, energy moves things, both spiritual and material. So to be in relationship with that energy then is the challenge, to live in a spiritual fashion. So recognizing that and trusting your intuition, is the key. And being away from noise. And noise comes in many shapes and sizes and volumes. Messing with things in your head where you can't think straight. You need to quiet oneself, and then that's why we talk about the ceremony of fasting for direction and vision, so that you're able to hear what is being said. Like right now, I can't hear because I'm talking, but when you're quiet, you feel that energy. Like when we were down in Honduras at and I always talk about this because of the significance of what indigenous peoples think, like North America, Central America, all continents of indigenous peoples have the same worldview of sorts. So we were there and it was quiet, no wind. And when we began to pray for the water, the winds came through the grasses. And these are moments live. You feel those energies, and they just don't, it's not a coincidence. So that noise that we're hearing in our head is saying that's a coincidence. But we know that in the spiritual, when we're living a spiritual life, that is that energy that we're talking and we're calling upon and we're building relationships with. And those are the things that make clear of the interdependence that we have with our universe. So it's a beautiful way of life, because we're never, we're always learning something new and building new relationships and meeting new folks that are living that way of life also. And we're meeting, and the spirit moves people in our life, and they show up and changes our life. So that's a beautiful thing, this spiritual way of life.
Thank you. We want to leave a time, Ricky, for a closing prayer, but are there other questions that we'd like to ask Ricky?
I do have a question. Ricky, you named 4 different types of knowledge. I wrote down dream state knowledge, ceremonial knowledge, contemporary knowledge, and what was the 4th one? I missed that one.
The first one was intergenerational.
Oh, yes.
The things that you're handed down to you from your great-grandparents, your grandparents, your parents, all of those teachings.
I was really interested in dream state knowledge because being winter, I tend to sleep a little more and sometimes have more dreams. But I don't know if that's the type of dream state knowledge that you are talking about.
That is one of the dream state knowledge that I'm talking about. Is yes, it comes throughout our life in all 4 seasons. These medicines that I talk about in these directions, when we utilize them, they can also move energies, and we have dreams. For instance, if we have our tobacco that comes from the trees, so we have that connection there, and we'll begin to seek dreams, seek names, and those dreams come. A lot of times we think that we're dreaming, but they say that our spirit is moving. So moving and gathering and come back and instill. So instilling in their minds. So a lot of people don't hold no significance and distinction about dreams. And they say that they're for those, the ones that are a little out there. But we know that there's much power in the dream state. There's much knowledge. And that in fact, that we think that there's, it's much more clear, and it comes in such a fashion that it's untainted, it's pure knowledge. And so there's lots of power in the dream state. And oftentimes we don't know the extent or the meaning, but once we keep remembering, especially the reoccurring dreams, we'll know that we have to live out that, to honor that dream state knowledge. And then we'll see the results manifested through faith and hope. So.
In other ways of understanding, in Jungian, Carl Jung's ideas, he would say that, this would be the subconscious that in our dreams, our subconscious is speaking to us and providing us with understanding and truths. So, and much of his research has been done in looking at indigenous ways of knowing and understanding. So Ricky, we are at the end of our time. Would you like to lead us out in a short prayer?
Okay. I just want to plug that in, make sure that I don't lose anybody here. Okoye Anishinaabe ho gaganuna manito. Koe kui zan sindiko o Ojibwe mong bishonen do tem. Nagachwa nong and do chiba. Ha manito shweni ma shin. Minwa bizinda shin. In nanama eto asa ungo. Nijibi mata zigoma. Miswe kamig givita kamig. Apege shungo atsu kanak. Shweni ma dongo. Ge abego ge kodagatuat. Ingyu Anishinaabe in the Gazawat. Gegetasa widukawishinam che wewini kweko jichigeyang and the sogi jikabegi daga widukawishinam che mikweni magingyu ge andat zijik nagach migut sagongo bimatazi no gijgakae eajik Anishinaabe niji bimatazi goma migut sago gikino mari wanan gaji gikino maguzi yang migut apachi manitok bizndawiek. So we want to sound out our gratitude and for the life that we've got and the moments that we've got together. We've been given a lot of different things, brotherhood, sisterhood. We've got our sacred items that we have. So we want to remember those that have gifted us with the teachings. We acknowledge what their gifts to us. We acknowledge our ancestors, the ones that have been before us, that where we come from, and we want to think about ahead to those ones that are yet to be born. And then we also acknowledge the ones that are with us here on our Mother Earth today. And we always ask for that we show each other the respect and love each other in a fashion that is that brings dignity to all humanity. So we know that no one man or one woman knows all things, but together we know that we can make life better for us here. So we want to ask for that guidance as we go forth into our lives. So I want to thank you for listening to that prayer.
Amen. Thank you, Ricky. Thank you, everyone who has joined us this evening. And we look forward, Ricky, to having you back next week. And Ricky, what will be our focus at our next session?
Well, next session we'll be talking about the fifth and sixth directions and the seventh direction. The sixth direction is the sky, the leading spirits, and our Mother Earth that we stand and sit on, and then where we're at, our center, where our fire burns, our life is. That's the seventh direction. So those three, the sky, our Mother Earth, and where we're at. So we'll be talking about those next week.
Thank you, Ricky, and thank you everyone for joining us in the Where Rivers Meet Spirituality Center with Ricky DeFoe this evening. Thank you, and have a good evening.
Thank you, Ricky. Thank you, Kogiman. Thank you, Blake. Night, everybody.
Anishinaabe, way